Okay, let's talk about it. The age-old question. What do men really want? But forget all the cliches you've heard. We're not going for the easy answers today. We're actually going to dive deep into the psychology to find out what's really going on.
So, yeah, that's the big question, right? What do men truly want when it comes to love in a real relationship? And, it feels like it should have a simple answer. But believe me, it is so much more layered and complex than you think. And what's really interesting is how much it changes over time.
First things first, let's just get the ridiculous stereotypes out of the way. You've heard them a million times. The idea that all men want is sex. Come on. Relationship coach Ismail Gomez puts it perfectly. He says that's just as silly and oversimplified as saying all women want is money. The truth? It's way, way deeper than that. Okay, so let's move past that surface level stuff. We're going beyond the stereotypes here. Because look, that initial spark, that first impression, yeah, it's important for sure, but it's only half the story. It's just the starting line for what builds a real connection that actually lasts. And don't get me wrong, men definitely want to be attracted to their partner. That's fundamental. But here is the thing that so many people miss. For a genuine long-term relationship, that attraction has to be more than just skin deep, you know? A pretty face might get his attention, but it is absolutely not what builds commitment.
And this little timeline here shows you exactly why that is. Take a look. Right at the beginning of a relationship, physical attraction is off the charts, right? It's super high. But then, somewhere between 6 and 12 months in, that initial intense wow factor, it naturally starts to fade a bit. It has to. And that's when the real question kicks in. Do I actually like waking up next to this person? See, the emotional connection has to take the driver's seat or the whole thing just stalls out. All right, so now we're going to go a level deeper. Let's talk about the hardware, the primal brain. We're talking about those powerful biological drivers that are running in the background, often completely below the surface of our conscious thoughts. And it really all starts with this one pretty mind-blowing biological fact. Men have, on average, 6 times more testosterone than women. 6 times! And that single difference creates this whole cascade of effects on everything from psychology to behavior. So what does that actually mean? Well, for one thing, some studies suggest that all that testosterone can actually impair the part of the brain that's in charge of impulse control, the prefrontal cortex. And this goes a long way to explaining why some reactions can feel so automatic and impulsive. And you can see these primal instincts playing out in some really interesting ways, like being subconsciously drawn to the color red on a woman, or that initial automatic impulse to just look. It's a really powerful reaction. It can even lead to things like, subconsciously comparing a new partner to an ex, or that whole out of sight, out of mind thing. The key here is that these aren't conscious, logical choices. They're just echoes from that primal part of the brain. But of course, men are way more than just a bundle of biological instincts. So let's shift gears now. We're moving from the primal brain into the internal emotional world. And let me tell you, this is a landscape that is so often and so deeply misunderstood. Okay, let's talk about a classic scenario that freaks a lot of people out. When a man says he needs space. Instantly, your brain might jump to, oh no, he's losing interest, he's pulling away. But psychologically, the reality is often the exact opposite. Giving him that space is actually what strengthens the bond. Why? Because it gives him the time and the room to genuinely miss you. And this gets to a really core conflict that a lot of men face, because contrary to what you might think, men absolutely crave deep emotional intimacy. They really do. The problem is, so many of them have been taught their whole lives that showing feelings is a sign of weakness. So there's this huge fear of being judged, or even that their partner will find them less attractive if they really open up. That's exactly why creating a safe environment is just so incredibly critical. So what does that even mean, a safe environment? It's simple, really. It's a space where he knows he can share anything, his secrets, his worries, even his good news, without being judged for it. And maybe most importantly, it's a place where he truly feels that his partner's opinion is valued. It's not about playing therapist. It's about being his most trusted ally. So all this talk about connection, when does it usually start pointing towards serious, long-term commitment? Well, the data shows a pretty clear turning point around age 30. Before that, marriage and settling down, it might not be the main focus. But as guys get closer to 30, something often shifts. And that desire for a stable family, a lasting partnership, it just becomes a much, much bigger priority. Okay, all of this has been leading up to our final and honestly most important piece of the puzzle, the connection blueprint. This is about the one foundational thing that holds everything else together. It's what truly builds a bond that is built to last. So, after everything we've talked about, the attraction, the emotions, the primal brain stuff, what is the single most important factor of all? What's the one thing that matters most? According to Coach Ismael Gomez, it all comes down to one word: respect. He is absolutely adamant on this point. Without it, everything else is pointless.
But here's the catch. You can't make someone respect you, right? Respect has to be earned. And it always starts with self-respect. It starts with you knowing your own worth. It means you have to communicate your boundaries clearly. And this part is absolutely crucial. You have to be willing to walk away from disrespect. Let me tell you a quick story that just illustrates this perfectly. So, picture this. There's a guy, and he's casually dating 5 different women, okay? He's not exclusive with any of them, and his communication is super inconsistent, hot and cold.
So in response to this flaky behavior, 4 of the women, they get anxious. They start chasing him, right? Texting him, asking, what's wrong, trying really hard to win his approval back. But the 5th woman, she does something completely different. She just calmly tells him, hey, this kind of communication is a deal breaker for me, wishes him the best, and walks away. And here's the punchline, the psychological kicker. Which woman do you think that man is thinking about? It's not the 4 who are chasing him. No way. He is only thinking about the one woman who respected herself enough to walk away from his bad behavior. She commanded his respect because she demonstrated her own.
So when you put it all together, maybe the key to all of this isn't about endlessly trying to figure out what he wants. Maybe the real key is respecting yourself so much that you become worth wanting in the first place. So the final question, it isn't really about him at all. It's about you. Do you